In this video, I wanted to show you how to customize, put something special, a personalized message in the middle of an opening, a box opening. Like this is the Squares goodie box. So I'm going to scroll over. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. If you don't know, you can do the Alt key plus your scroll mouse. So these are the original portion of the files. So we have the bottom of the box. This is the top of the box. This is really just a basic box to put like candy or a little bit of goodies in. And then these are the panels, the side panels and the top panel. And this is the for an acetate window if you want to have an acetate window. So we're not going to go over how to put this together yet. I want to show you how to personalize it. So anything that you have a cutout, this is a rather small box, but you can do things like this. So I'm going to show you some of the ways you can do that. Not 100% because there's so much in the software. I am using Silhouette Studio Designer Edition because that is the minimum edition you need for to import SVG files. So this is a SVG from Simply Crafty SVGs, the Square Goodies box. Now there's other, if you have Business Edition you have more options, but I'll show that a little bit later. So you can see I did a trick or treat. So I'm just assuming what I did is basically make that, did a little offset on the back of trick or treat, brought this in from Silhouette Store and put an offset on it, and then welded this middle piece to here. So it's all moving together, but let me ungroup it so you can see what it is. You see this part, it's like that. And then this is separate and that separate. So this is a panel that goes around it. So this is how I did that one, and I'll show you exactly how using a simpler image, but it's all basically the same. So I'm gonna right click and group. Let's go ahead and move that out of the way. And here's another example I did where I just wanted to say dad. So let's say you want to do dad, mom, a name, any name. We'll go over that as well, the same thing. What I did is I did dad and I did a little bit of an offset. I played around a little bit on the bottom and then put a little rectangle in the back. So I'll do one like that to show you. I mean, but there's so many options once you understand how to do this. So if you have any window in any box, so we have quite a few little gift boxes with little windows, you could do this. The one thing I want to, I'm making the assumption at this point that you might be using vinyl to cut out the top piece because that's more intricate. You could try to do it with cardstock. That's up to you. Like we're going to do the star over here. That could be cut easily with cardstock, but when you start to get like intricate designs, you might want to just use vinyl. So I know a lot of people that want to do that actually have vinyl in their stock as well. So just to give you an idea of how you do it. So let's go ahead and move this. So that's two things. So let's go ahead and do one with this image. So here is the original top. We're just going to go ahead and duplicate that. So I'm going to right click and say duplicate. I'm going to move it over. And then in order for us to do any kind of merge, this is going to have to be ungrouped. But let's get this prepped over here. So this particular star is a layered star. And this is from, it's an insert that's supposed to go in one of my box cards, a side-by-side box card. It's one of the several inserts that are included with that file. But I thought it would be fun to put a little star in the front. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to, this came in as a group. I'm going to ungroup that. So you might learn a couple other things while I'm doing this. So you can see that there's a star, a couple stars, and that star. I don't want this part right here. You notice it's like that. You notice this star on the outline is the same exact shape as this. So I'm going to put that to the side for now. You're going to see what I do. So I want the same look except for this little bottom thing jutting out because that's for the card. That's not for this. I just want the star part. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this. And if you, there's something called release compound path. So when you right click and you see release compound path, what it's basically going to do is get rid of that little center piece. So it's going to make it two pieces. This is going to be one piece, and this outside is going to be one piece. So let's highlight it, right click, release compound path, and you'll see that comes off the top. So I'm going to delete it. I don't want it. And then we're going to go ahead and make this the same color. So I'm going over on the left here and choosing the little eyedropper. Then I'm going to hit that red. So now I'm going to delete this. So if you wanted to, I also recommend you just make a copy of this before you do it, just to make sure. So let's go ahead and send backwards. Needs to go a little bit. Let's send to back. Okay, so you can see this is a layered. This goes on, the blue goes on top of that, and then the white in the middle. We only want to work with this piece for now. So let's say we're going to match up. We're going to have a red background. We want the box to be red too. So we're going to right click and say ungroup. So the only reason we have to ungroup is because we have to go ahead and weld something to the middle. So it's the score lines are grouped with this, so it moves around with the score lines. Once you ungroup it, you have to be careful and not move it. So that's why we have a backup, just in case. So we're going to go right click and say ungroup. Now I could accidentally do this, and I'm just going to go undo after this, like that. Oops, we don't want to do that. I'm going to hit Control Z to undo, and you could always hit undo up here in the upper left too. So I want to figure out how big I want this. So I'm just going to layer this, and then highlight it all and come over here. Do I want it to hit the tips? So we have a couple options here. We could have it hit the tips here, or we can make it smaller and do that. So if you want it smaller, just in the center, we'll just put a little panel to go across here. So let's go ahead and do that. So that's the size I want. So all this is going to be a clear area, whether you put an acetate window or not. So let's go ahead and just move. We don't need these top pieces. We just need this middle red piece. Then we're going to get a little rectangle here so we can attach it. So it goes across, so we'll be able to attach it on the other side of the window. Let's go ahead and make it the same color as a star. Sometimes I gotta make sure I hit it right here. I hit the select first. And let's go ahead and zoom in. Hit the little dropper over here, like that. And if we want to make sure this is centered behind there, we're going to go select both. So I clicked, you can drag and click over them to select both, or you can click one and then hold the shift key and click the other. We're going to go over here to make sure it's centered. I got to look for it here. Right here at the top here, we want it centered like that. See, I don't like it there, so let's go ahead and move it down. So it looks better right there. So now I have where I want it behind the star. Let's see where the star is going to go. So now I'm just going to eyeball it. You could get the center of this and do that. I'm not going to be that precise. So now I'm just going to make sure that this outside box is the same color as the star and that. Boy, that's bright. I'm going to go change that down a notch. It's a little bright for me. There we go. We can change it once we merge it. So now we're going to make sure you only click on the outside box. And I'm holding the shift key, clicking on that rectangle and then the star. Then we're going to come up here. And it says weld selected shapes into one shape. Click on that. And you'll notice the score lines disappeared. Well, we just want to send this to back so that the score lines are just behind it. So we can do right click and say send to back. There's also a shortcut key, and I'll use that in the next demo. So now this is one piece. And just undo, so I just wanted to show you. So now I'm going to go ahead and group it again, so the score lines stay in the same place. And then you can see, let's go ahead and send to back, so the stars go in front. And you can see now we can cut out those stars, and we could do like a little GIF that's for, it could be actually for anything, for Veteran Day or maybe military, something like that. And then let's go ahead and pull one of these. I'm going to duplicate this. Then you'd have a panel, whether you use a pattern panel or whatever you decide to use. You could put that panel so you can see what it looks like. Or you could always make it the same color as the blue star. Oops, did the wrong one. Let's undo. See if I can get that blue. Won't let me hit it. We'll just leave it like that. You can go ahead and, if I did this, let's do that. Then it'll find it. Okay. And there's that. So next we'll do a little word, something similar to the dad one, and maybe a different shape in the back. So we'll go ahead and group this. I'm doing Control G on the keyboard because that's the shortcut to group it. I'm holding the Alt key and scrolling out to zoom out. And we're going to move that with the other ones. So let's go ahead and do one that says congrats. So let's go ahead and right click. We're going to duplicate. And then we'll drag it over here. And then we'll go ahead and let's just do a text. So I'm going to click a text box here and hit congrats. I'm not ungrouping this until I figure out kind of the size I want. And the other thing is you can, let's go duplicate this so we have one right here. You can, if you like, it's up to you, you could actually attach it to the outside panel too, not the inside panel. So you could always do that. You could always put it right here. So we'll just do that for this one, but it's the same concepts that you saw me do it on the other one. We'll attach it to this top panel. So let's go ahead and choose a font we want. I'm just going to choose an easy font for me, which is Milkshake. So I'm going to come up here, and I'm just going to type M-I-L-K. I'm not going to go in the ins and outs of all the fonts, but if the fonts were separate, of course you wouldn't have to do anything. But because these, if they were separated, but because these overlap, as you can see, if I don't weld this letter, it will cut strangely. You'll see this little, let's go in here, it'll cut right here, here, here. So when you're doing anything like a script that overlaps, you'll want, once you get the word the size you want by resizing it like this, we can go ahead and choose a color. So I'm going to go choose a color up here. Let's do a purple. And I'm going to get rid of that red line color. So once I do that, I still haven't welded it. So I want to weld it really quick. So let's go ahead and you can go to the right here and do it, but let's go at the top. There's a shortcut for weld selected shapes into one shape. And then if I got rid of the color, it's always a good line. I'm going to put a black line around it and then show you. If I got rid of the color, you now don't see those overlapping things. So we're going to put the color back there. And we'll just make this the same, a slightly different purple. Let's make it like a lavender. So this could be, I always intend that to be kind of a pattern paper. So what we're going to do, I'm going to kind of make it a little bit bigger because I want to put an offset, and we can resize it after I get the offset. So when I click, I'm going to click on this, and up here I can hit that little star that says offset selected shape, and then you can go ahead and on the right hand corner you can see the distance. If I increase it, we can increase it to the edge like that and use that. Let's go ahead and make it the same color as this so you can see what it'll look like. The other thing you could do, and I'm going to just make a duplicate all this. We'll delete the offset. If you don't like that, so you could always make this bigger. So if you liked it like that, you could go ahead and highlight the offset, highlight the panel, and then weld. And I don't have them both highlighted. Let's just drag over the edge here. I'm going to Control Shift left bracket to go to back. So then you have congrats on the top, and the panel is the congrats, and I'll show you what it looks like on the box. Let's make the box just a slightly different color. We're going to ungroup it and make this kind of a light yellow because those are complementary colors, purple and yellow. Let's go ahead, I'm going to group this so I don't detach the score lines, and then we're going to highlight both. I'm going to group them. We're going to bring them to front, and you can see this is what it would look like. And so just one last thing, so you know there's other alternatives other than just doing offset. So I wanted to show you the offset. So here's the same word. So we want to put a different shape. We could go over here on the left, and if you have Designer Edition, these are the options you have. You can do an oval, like you could do an oval behind it. And you can see, just keep that oval in. And if you wanted to center it, you could just highlight both of these, then go to the top here, and then align center both ways, and then you could just move the congrats. And we'll do another one. So let's go ahead, and I'm not going to change the color on that. Let's just go ahead and weld them. So it took the color. I'm going to send this to back here. Going to group this. So there's a second one. And then even more, if you have something like if you have Business Edition, so I'm going to show you in Business Edition. I have Business Edition, even Designer Edition Plus. You get a lot more shapes on the left here. So wouldn't that just be fun if you had something? I'm just trying to find something fun to use. There's lots of shapes here, and you can do different things with them, so it's kind of fun. So let's go ahead and choose this one. And if you don't, you can do all sorts of things like that. So it's kind of fun. Or do like that. Let's go ahead and size it. Then we'll mess around with it. So there's a lot more options when you get higher versions. Excuse me. I mean, I'm only hitting the tip of the iceberg, so. And again, we can go ahead, and I'm going to highlight both of those. Come up here to the alignment, align in the center on both vertically and horizontally. And then we'll highlight just these two pieces, not the congrats. Merge them, and I'll send this to back. So you can right click, send to back. And right click and group. I do Control G or Command G. So let's go ahead and bring these up. So that's 3 different ways with the same word. So just think about what you could do. The limits really are, it's limitless. So you have a lot of tools in Silhouette Studio. And remember, you at least minimum need Designer Edition. If you want to get this fancy extra shapes and some other features, you could get Designer Edition Plus or Business Edition. So I hope that you learned a few things today or it was helpful. If you did, please give me a little thumbs up below. I would appreciate that. And if you haven't already done so, if you go ahead and subscribe, that would be great. And if you hit that little notification button next to the subscribe, you'll be notified when we have new tutorials or new SVG file videos. So thank you for watching, and until next time.